welcome to the NAPI team meeting for July 27th, 2020. We'll follow our regular agenda, and starting out with that, we will, I'll ask if there's any announcements anybody would like to share. If not, I think I maybe misspoke. We were going to dive into an issue that Kevin had raised because he needs to leave early, and then we'll get back to the regular things on the agenda. So Kevin, take it away.
Right. So I recently sent an email to the team. If you could open that email up, that would be great because it has some links in there.
Okay, let me see if I can get that going.
Mm-hmm. And then a screen share.
Okay, but what time did you send it? I'm just going back in time here.
4:18-ish, 40 minutes, 49 minutes ago, okay. With NAPI meeting 27 July okay. As the title.
I'm just searching on Kevin now. No, why? Okay, there you go. Right here, I'm just going to copy that into a doc, and I'll share that. Does it have links?
Yeah, it has some links.
Okay, I'm wondering why links didn't.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could also go to the failed build because it's just some links to the build and some links to code.
It's okay. Here, I'll see if I can share that one window. I just don't want to share my whole email and.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think about that.
Just why? Okay, copy. Just not copying any links. Let me see if just a sec. I'm going to try one other thing here. New. I just know that it's just too easy to then click on the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. I'll share that. Okay.
Yes, okay. So what I'm seeing in this failed build is that it's failing on some platforms and not other. And
okay.
the platforms that it's failing on is always Mac, but not necessarily, it's some compilers and some not. And I'm not able to replicate the issue, even though I have a Mac. And so the build is failing on Node 10 with Mac. And I'm trying that specific build, Node 10 on Mac, and it's passing. And
so it's failing on Travis or in our regular, like our Jenkins builds?
In Travis, in the Travis build. So the CI build for my PR.
Right, okay.
And so if you click the failure link, I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't seem to be doing that window now because it's.
Yeah, no, I'm going to share that separately.
I'm sorry, yeah. And then I guess we could just only look at that particular window because we can maybe just go from there. And
this one, right?
The rest. Yeah, correct. So this is the error that's coming. And this particular function call in the C++ code is just returning a promise that eventually gets resolved from the thread safe function. Now, I'm not sure why this is failing on some platforms and not others. It's a very simple call in my mind. Let me, maybe
my first thought is it's like it may not have anything to do with the platform. It may just be that with the different platforms, the different things, you end up with different timing.
And then, well, I'm also unsure, is that error saying that, is it an error that the JavaScript call timed out, or is it saying that the promise resolution timed out? I'm not exactly sure. So I just chatted a link. I chatted a link in
Yep.
Zoom with the call that gets executed. So if you can open that in this
Yep.
window too, you can see it's pretty simple here. So I create this new data type structure that has a reference to a function, which is passes info 0. That's the first parameter. And then I create a new deferred as the second property in the structure on line 65. And I believe that's the correct way to do it. If you scroll up a little bit, you'll be able to see what data type, what that structure is. A little up more. There, struct data type on line 15. So it's a reference to that, I guess that's maybe a function or some value, I don't know, but it's on 17 is just the deferred that gets stored. Is this the correct way to store this data type, or this deferred rather, and return it? You know, because this data gets created on the heap in line 64, new data type, and then I pass data to the non-blocking call on 66, which gets passed, if you look on line 23-ish now, line 23, this is like the callback, our call.js. Environment is not null, and JS callback is not going to be null. And we do all of this. Everything looks right here, and then we delete data on line 30. This seems to be correct, which is why it works on some platforms. But then maybe it's incorrect somewhere, and I just don't know where or how.
But the sorry, go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, so we had issues with deadlock when you call from the main thread. So but I believe that was a blocking call from the main thread. So the problem on the main thread is that if the call would block, right, then it'll block the main thread, which is also responsible for emptying the queue and therefore unblocking, right? And so that was the deadlock. But if I remember correctly, the deadlock was when it was a blocking call, not a non-blocking call. So a non-blocking call obviously shouldn't block on any thread, right? But anyway, it feels like that same problem that we had with blocking calls from the main thread. So that's just sort of a suspicion.
But this is not a like TFSN call.
That is my object wrap. TSFN is an object wrap, and call is a method on that object.
Right.
And that's what I was showing.
Is it the test framework that's saying it timed out, or is it?
I have no clue. It's because timeout dot underscore on timeout. I don't know. I have no idea what that is. My call is just like in my JavaScript, it's a await tsfn dot call. So maybe it's some sort of async thing because it's an await and it's trying to do that. Like, so I don't know. I've never seen this underscore on timeout thing before. Maybe it's internal to Node or V8. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's 134? Line 134.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Let me verify. Come on, computer, go faster. Basic JS. 138. It's, yes, it is awaiting that.
You just paste the link to that.
Hold on. Yeah, I just open in remote. Okay. 1 second. 38. Oh, so it's actually, okay, here is the link posted. So it seems to be actually like the promise. It's awaiting on a promise, which inside that promise has the TS.
Right, and there is a timeout that says, like, so that's what's happening. That set timeout is. And what about set timeout 0?
Okay, so what this is doing is, so it, I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I've looked at this. So this particular one needs to make a callback with no data. And we need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I use 0. I know that I have to use 0 because I make a call, the call that gets done, this non-blocking call, I need it to execute. So I do a set timeout 0 in order to check that this reject value on line 133, whether it's been set or not. Because
but the 0 is like, that assumes that it'll be done immediately, right?
Yeah. So is it possible then, because like because the call gets added to the event loop, maybe it's my misunderstanding of the event loop then, it gets added on 131. And then I added timeout on 132 to check this value of reject on 133. I thought that since the TSFN, once you say TSFN non-blocking call, that would get added somewhere on the event loop such that that would be executed always before a set timeout one. Is that, am I incorrect in that?
I think that could be incorrect. Like the event loop does it in a particular order. Like when you click over to the next tick, I think it may even do timers. I have to look at which order it does it, but I think it may do timers sooner than later.
Okay. I mean, that would make sense possibly then if it were like somehow platform dependent, because if it's timeout related, that may be it.
I don't even think it's platform dependent so much as like it just may be the timing lines up one way or the other, because a machine's got a certain frequency of CPU or like often we see things that only fail on some platforms. It's not really in the end platform specific, but they have subtle timing differences. So
that makes sense. So I could definitely refactor this test. It was basically trying to do a test with no data and going to the call. And I was making it such that the function being executed was bound via scope to change a value that was later being checked. I mean, I'll just refactor this test then. I
But
think
that
everything you
timeout,
guys
can it
made
just
sense.
be like, is it just be like a longer timeout?
I
Like
mean,
if you
it can.
if you want this to happen after the other stuff, if you said like 5 seconds or something.
Yes, it can be, but I'd rather it not be like
It is better not to
timeout
be
dependent.
time-based.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So because my understanding of the event loop thing, I guess, was incorrect. But I put 0 thinking that. But since that's incorrect, I'd rather change this test so that it is not timeout dependent, which completely makes sense. So
Okay.
yeah,
You can always
all right.
try by just setting it to like 5 seconds, and then if they all pass, you at least know it's related to that.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then fix it
So
up.
I have one question. You have this current callback equals arrow function. Where are you using current callback? Like you're not passing it anywhere. You're just creating this variable, but then I don't see it used anywhere within its scope. Or am I just misreading it?
Can you scroll up? There. It's in new TSFN wrap. So this is the main function that gets called, and it checks whether it exists or not, because some tests run a
I see.
callback
Okay.
and some don't.
Okay, understood. Okay. Oh, I see. So yeah, it's not defined there. It's just assigned there. Okay, understood.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then the other sort of observation that I have is that this being a thread safe function, right? The safest way to know whether your non-blocking call has happened or not is to have like a JavaScript callback passed into it, because it's supposed to be like the whole structure of this thread safe function is such that you can call into JavaScript from any thread, right? But if you don't call into JavaScript, you will never know that the call has happened or not, right? So
Right.
so I know you're trying different abstractions on top of it, but that's the basic functionality. So you can know synchronously at what point in the event loop the call has happened if you let the call back into JavaScript, right?
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about the sequence because this, I know you're making the call from the main thread, so there's no actual real time threading interaction happening, right?
Correct.
But if you give it a callback to call back into JS, then you don't need to worry about which part of the event loop you're in and so on and so forth, because it will call back into JS at exactly the right time. So you will know. You don't have to set a timeout to see if the call has happened or not, because it will let you know that the call has happened. But of course, that's a different way of using the thread safe function than you're using it here.
Yeah, it's just because I was trying the various different ways of, no data with data, no callback with callback and stuff.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, but I'm sure there's some way I can refactor this test so that it is not time dependent. Now that I've have a better understanding of the event loop, so now I'll fix this test and hopefully. Yeah, but yes, I'll definitely start out by pushing it with a longer timeout just to make sure everything is working right, and then go from there. I think that's a really great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a good plan.
Perfect. All right, so then that's all that I have.
Okay. And I guess it also sounded like on the meeting time you have a permanent conflict now.
Yes, because I've now have a meetings every week at 5:30, so I have to have 5:30 to 6:30. So I'll actually have to jump off soon.
Yeah, so I was just thinking before you do that, we should talk about whether there's like another time that works for people.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do earlier, and later.
Right. And later is hard for Lucas. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how we should approach what we should do.
I don't know if there's another day that time works better.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
we should. What do you call that? The doodle or
The
what
doodle,
I've heard,
yeah.
where we pick some times, and let's just see what we can do.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
Right.
idea. We'll send out a doodle and figure that out and see.
Okay. All right then. Okay, then I will try updating those tests and let you guys know, and I'll talk to you
Okay.
guys later.
Thanks.
Great.
Talk to you
Thanks.
later.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so now let's flip back to our regular agenda where we look at ABI, stable node, issues, milestone 11. Okay, review. Okay, this one I just mentioned there's this workshopper going native where there were some NAPI examples. And it's landed now, but they were looking for some review, which I never got to, and I should have actually just put it here so that other people could have taken a look if they have a chance. So I thought, anyway, I put it here if people have a chance. It would be good to have somebody take a look and give any feedback or. So I don't think there's too much else. Workshop proposal, I guess we don't have Jim this week, so probably no update on that. Enable debug testing for add-ons. I don't think we've done anything on that one.
Nope. Oh, Node.js. I don't know if they've moved at all.
I don't think we've taken a look there. No, okay. Issues, modules have been ported. I don't think there's anything, no, nothing new on that front. Still seems to be NPM node add-on API still trending up last time I looked, which is good. Yep, so still slowly
we're
going
doing
up,
well.
which is it's nice. Okay. So issues in the repos. So let's go back to this case. I know, Nicola, you were looking at.
Yeah, I'm writing the test for PR for
Right,
request.
actually, it's a PR. This one, right? This one, right?
Yes. And
Okay.
what time? My idea is to do something like Node.js. So I'm trying to build a simple native add-on, and using the name folder with and without the space.
Yep.
And then I test this simple build add-on, and this is all what I can do for now. I
think that makes sense if you have one that does the, with and without a space, and then I guess with multiple includers, maybe.
Okay. I can yeah. The problem is that you can insert multiple includers under conditions, but if you insert multiple includers on at same level, you will get an error. So
what do you mean by at the same level? Like
so if you in your binding zip you insert two includers, one before, after, you will get an error. Instead, if you insert includers under some conditions, all work good.
Okay, I was thinking that the include would have multiple entries.
Yeah. So the solution is to insert the all in one includers because it's an array. It's yeah.
Mhm.
So don't know the reason, because that could push to insert multiple include-ders. So
Yeah, I didn't mean multiple include-dir elements. I was more like an include-dirs with multiple things in the array. Like, isn't that the case we want to test, where like you have one thing in the array and you have two things in the array, or like two entries in the array? Because I think that's
okay.
what ended up breaking.
Okay, if I have multiple things in the array, all works.
Okay, because I think that's why it's being added, and just a test that actually has one, which is current, or two would be good, I think.
But the problem, okay, the problem on having multiple include aders is yeah, has been always yeah, it exists from always in Windows. So in Windows, if you add include-ders multiple times on your banding, you will get an error before or after these
Right. Right. So there's only like, that might be a different problem, is it? Or is that a problem? Or is it just a problem in trying to make a test?
Yeah. Okay. So for now, I will add these essentially two new tests, and then yeah, I try to provide some new. Yeah, I try to get new new problems, and yeah, I will update these paragraphs.
Okay. Sounds good. Are there any other issues on
Yeah.
the...
Okay. Okay, the issue 774. So yeah, I try to answer, but I think that yeah, he is using let's say function, and I cannot. Yeah, I cannot understand what is your real problem. His real problem here. Maybe we need to ask if he can post
Yeah,
your
smaller test case or something.
Okay.
It looks like he's storing the value, not the reference. He being new to an API, I think he or they, I don't know, they're storing the reference, not oh wait, no. Reference. Oh yeah, no, they are. Okay, that's good. So okay, influencer. Okay, so okay, they're getting a buffer from JS, eh? Oh wait, no, wait, what?
Okay, that was my example.
You offered that. Okay, yeah, your example. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I have taken the buffer as above and passing it to a native class to hold the reference. Well, okay, but passing it how? So I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really need to see their code.
Yeah. Because you're right, like doing this reference might do it, but not just directly.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, asking for an cut down code, or even if it's a public module, that might help to.
Okay, I answer later.
Okay.
So,
any others we should look at here?
I saw some work that Gabriel are doing on test.
PRs or?
Yeah, it was just above that one. Yeah.
This one?
Well, that's an issue I filed while looking at the tests. So in core we're doing this asynchronous GCing, and so I figured, well, okay, this person would like to try it, but another person has already filed a PR.
Okay.
That was a quick fix. So basically, since GC is now asynchronous, right? We have some tests that do a GC, right? And so far, our tests have been fired from a very tight synchronous loop in test index.js, right? And some of those are asynchronous, and the test itself runs correctly asynchronously, but because it's asynchronous, it returns sooner than the test is actually done, right? So this has several implications, and that is one of the most obvious ones is that it says all tests finished successfully, and then it still hangs for about 5-6 seconds, and then it returns, right? And
I have noticed
I've seen it.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is that it prints out synchronously after it's done the loop that launches the tests that it's finished tests. But that's assuming the tests are synchronous, right? And so there are still outstanding asynchronous callbacks when it prints that, right? And so two things can go wrong. I've seen it where it says all tests finished successfully, and then it seg faults because one of the tests fails, right?
Yeah, that's not good.
Asynchronously. The other thing, and this is perhaps more concerning, at least for debugging, when you're trying to debug, is that because the tests run asynchronously, they also run asynchronously relative to each other. So you have asynchronous callbacks set up by one test being executed while asynchronous callbacks set up by another test are also present.
Right.
And so you can sometimes have especially now with asynchronous GC, you can have a situation where the GC throws an exception or an exception is being thrown, and it appears to be coming from one test when in fact the exception belongs to another test. So I think for just for sanity and for cleanliness sake, I think what we need to do is we need to not only string the tests together so that the loop waits for one test to finish before it launches another test, but also within the test, if you're testing multiple things, like most tests, we test two things. We test with C++ exceptions and without. And either we have two cases there. Either both tests are synchronous, in which case, okay, the test is fine the way it is, or both tests are asynchronous, in which case we sort of run them run them concurrently. And by concurrent, I don't mean actual threading wise concurrent, but in that, asynchronous callbacks on the event loop are interleaved from the two ways in which we test. So, and then of course we have like tests that do GCing, which they kind of do it asynchronously already because we have this test util run GC tests, which are asynchronous, but they also sort of interleave the asynchronous callbacks with everybody else. So basically this PR, what it does is it tries to just basically create a very, very long promise chain, to make sure that everything that is asynchronous runs by itself.
Right.
So that whether that be individual tests or whether that be individual asynchronous callbacks within a single test, they must all run in sequence rather than concurrently. So this is in preparation for what has already landed in core, which is the asynchronous GCing, right? And I got it to I actually was able to uncover some timing issues in one of the thread safe function tests. and I fixed that one. Basically, in the sum test, sometimes like basically the sum test was trying to be fire and forget, basically saying, you know, create the thread safe function on the main thread and then immediately release it, and then, well, no, create the thread safe function and then have it be acquired by the thread. So you create the thread safe function, then you create the threads, and then the main thread releases the thread safe function synchronously. So what I just described is synchronous. The problem is that if none of the threads acquire it before the main thread releases it, then one can no longer acquire a thread safe function that is not being referenced from anywhere. And so this situation was happening on Mac, I think, and basically you can't, like, it was basically short circuiting. Like instead of calculating the actual sum, it was calculating 0 because the threads never had a chance to acquire the thread safe function. And so yeah, that was a timing issue that got uncovered when I refactored this. So the fix for that issue is also in this PR.
Okay.
And I have one more outstanding issue that is also happening on some platforms on our own CI. I haven't tracked that one down yet, but I'll fix that one as well. So yeah, that's what this PR is.
Okay.
And needless to say, it now says all tests finished when all tests are actually finished.
Yeah, okay, because that's good. Yeah, I was always thinking, there's something there that's not quite the way it should be, but anyway.
Yeah, what it is basically just sort of fire them all up, and then they all finish whenever they finish. That's
right, because if they'd actually failed before, we might not have caught those failures.
Yeah, there were some that yes, there were some,
right? Like we
for
would
example,
basically say, oh, it succeeded. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the sum test, the thread safe function sum test succeeds, quote unquote, right?
Right.
But,
okay. Yeah.
But if you actually wait for it, then it fails.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so that's a good change.
You know,
sure.
there is the PR does have one shortcoming, which is really hard to test, and that is I don't know if I have caught and correctly handled all failure scenarios, because we're using a lot more promises now, right? And so those would turn into rejections instead of throwing outright, right? And so I am throwing a rejection at the end of everything. I will catch and throw. Like if you look at test index.js in the PR, it'll finally, after everything is said and done, it has a dot catch error. So it will catch that. And hopefully that will catch everything, and then throw the first error that it runs across.
We could use the option to make unhandled rejections like crash.
It does that on newer nodes by default. Like on newer versions of Node, it does that by default.
No, it doesn't. Like newer
well,
versions of Node still just emit a warning. There's been lots of back and forth on.
Oh, so okay. So so that wasn't fatal. Okay, but actually, I kind of don't want it to be fatal, because the way we have things now is the tests keep running if one of them throws an exception, right?
Okay.
Because the existing synchronous one does a try and a catch, right? And then it catches the error and runs the next test. And we kind of want that, because if you have an unrelated failure, you don't want to not be able to test your own thing, right?
As long as we don't miss the failures, then that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not sure how to handle that right now. The way the PR does it is the first failure will cause everything to fail and stop and so forth. So that's not ideal. And so that's another thing I haven't figured out yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it may be worth, like, if I figure out the last failure on macOS on our platform, I figure out why that is. There's another test that needs probably some synchronization. If I figure that out, I'm not sure if it isn't okay to land without having this run all tests anyway thing, because I think it's important that we have them strung up so that there is no cross test pollution thing going on. I think that's pretty important. But on the other hand, in the long run, we do want to figure out.
Right. Does this reduce the coverage though from what we have now?
No, it doesn't. It just runs the tests more cleanly, basically.
Right.
Basically, test one thing at a time. That's what this ensures.
So I don't think you need to solve every problem if you're improving it. Like as
Yeah,
long as it's
yeah,
not regressing our coverage, I'm still okay with, you know, landing it and then saying figure out the other issues in a follow
yeah,
up.
yeah. Okay, all right. So I'll keep working at it, figure out that one issue, and then this should be good to land, and then
Okay.
I can figure out how to handle individual failures and
Right.
not bail out, like basically like just like keep looping, but
Right.
sort of,
Because that should
you
be
know,
the
roll with the
exception,
punches.
right? Like we
That
expect
should be the
most of
what?
the time. We expect most of the time the test should all pass,
Yes.
right? So it shouldn't
Yes.
be
Yes.
a common. I know what you're saying. It still definitely is frustrating if like the first one fails and then you got to run it the next time and find the next one fails. Like you much
Yeah.
if you've introduced 5 tests, you'd rather know that they all failed, right? So I definitely
Yeah.
agree
Exactly.
with you.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like in the CI and so forth, it shouldn't be common that things fail. So
True.
at least for some period of time, I don't see it as a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically what this is, and yeah, I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Fix that last failure.
Sounds good. Any others you want to highlight or?
No. Why is source add on T class still open? I thought I closed that. Like I landed that. That's on master. Oh, okay. Okay. It just wasn't refreshed. That's all. Never
Okay,
mind.
that's weird.
No, it does that sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I've had it where I've canceled CI jobs because I thought
Okay.
they were already failed and then they weren't, and
Right. Okay. So basically, yeah, because I thought you landed that one too, but
yeah, I did. Yeah.
okay, we already talked about the thread safe function EX, which I guess is some of the testing that Kevin is doing
Yep.
in terms of getting that. Okay, so if nobody else has any others there, let's just take a quick look on the node side to see if there's anything. Yeah, I know there was some discussion on this one, right?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah, I suggested that they use thread safe function because that's exactly the kind of behavior that they want. Is they
Right,
want to be able
okay.
to call to JS every once in a while. So even if it's not multi-threaded, you can still use thread safe function for an asynchronous call. But of course, it doesn't have the abstraction that you know where we're not exposing the JavaScript abstraction.
I don't see that comment here. Let me try refreshing that.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I what the hey? Did you refresh already? Because I'm
I
pretty
did
sure I
just
made that
refresh
comment.
that.
What the? Or did I not submit that comment? Oh, I sorry, I didn't submit it.
Okay. There you go. Good if you submit it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, otherwise there doesn't look like there's anything too recent in the issues. And nothing new either on the side of things either. Okay, anything else we think we should talk about this week? If not, I guess the one thing I will say is I'm away on vacation next week. So Gabriel, can you chair the meeting stream?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if I can stream, but I can certainly record and then post.
Sure. Okay. Sometime we should figure out how you can't quite stream, but
Because I'm using the browser client. The
okay.
native client doesn't work very well for me.
Okay.
So I'm always using the browser, and that will not let you stream to YouTube.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you can do that, and so if I don't, I'll probably talk to people through GitHub between now and the end of the week, but otherwise I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right.
Okay. Talk to everybody later. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.